Hello everyone. Today we're diving into the practical foundations of setting up a scheduling timetable. We'll be covering two essential components that work hand in hand. First, we'll explore data input and validation. This is absolutely critical because garbage in means garbage out. We need to ensure that whatever information we're feeding into our system is accurate, complete, and properly formatted before we proceed further. Then, we'll move on to timetable setup, where we'll take that validated data and actually construct a functional schedule. By the end of this demonstration, you'll understand how to prepare your data correctly and use it to build a reliable timetable. Let's get started. So now let's walk through the actual data entry process. You'll start by editing your academic year and semester, then upload your institution logo and save those settings. From there, you can add rows for each course or class group. For each row, you'll need to fill in details like the instructor name, course name, and crucially, the teaching loads. The weekly load is your total, while the minimum and maximum day loads define your daily constraints. Notice we have three modes for setting these loads: exact, preferred, or auto balance. You can set these individually per row, or use the batch functions to apply them across all rows at once. And if you prefer working in Excel, there's a template option. Just download it, fill it in, and upload for validation. Now we're going to set up the time structure for your timetable. This is really the backbone of everything that follows. First, you'll define your slots. You need to select how many days your institution operates and then fill in the names of those days: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and so on. Next comes the time slots themselves. You have two options. You can use regular intervals, which automatically generates slots at fixed times, or you can go manual if you need more flexibility. Either way, you'll specify the slot duration, say, 1 hour or 90 minutes, and set your start and end times. Then click Build to generate them. Finally, verify what's been generated. You can manually adjust any of the time slots if needed, and once you're satisfied, click Save Time Structure. Now let's move on to setting up your rooms. This is where you define all the physical spaces where classes will be held. To add a room, simply click the Add Room button. Each room entry will automatically generate a unique ID for tracking purposes. You'll need to fill in the room name. Make sure this is descriptive so you know exactly which room you're referring to. Then select the room type from a drop-down list of types you've already entered in your data input phase. Finally, enter the room's capacity, which is the maximum number of students it can accommodate. Once you've added all your rooms with their details, click Save Rooms to store this information in your system. This ensures your timetable scheduler knows which rooms are available and their constraints. Great. Now that we've set up our rooms, let's configure the courses themselves. Each course gets its own dedicated window, so you can navigate through them one by one using the next and back buttons. For every course, you'll input several key pieces of information: the course name, its ID number, the course code, what type of room it needs, and the minimum capacity required. You'll also set a priority flag, deciding whether this course should be scheduled early in the day or not. Finally, select a color from the palette to represent this course visually in your timetable. This color coding really helps when you're reviewing the final schedule. Once you've entered all your courses, make sure to click Save Courses to store everything. Now let's talk about shared teaching arrangements. This is where multiple instructors or groups teach the same course together. Here's how you set it up. First, you'll specify the course and select the instructor. Then, and this is important, you can hold down Control on Windows or Command on Mac to select multiple student groups at once. Once you've made your selections, click Add Session to register that combination in the defined Shared Sessions list. Finally, you'll either save your shared teaching configuration or clear everything and start over if needed. This flexibility is really helpful when you have co-taught courses or need to coordinate across multiple groups. Right, so now let's move on to co-teaching arrangements. This is a really practical setup where you split a single group into 2 subgroups at the same time slot. Here's how it works. Subgroup A takes course 1 with instructor 1, while subgroup B simultaneously takes course 2 with instructor 2. Then, every other week, the subgroups swap, so they get exposure to both courses and both instructors. The crucial requirement here is that both courses must have identical weekly workloads. To set this up in the system, you select your group, then choose course 1 and instructor 1 for subgroup A, and course 2 and instructor 2 for subgroup B. Click Add Pair to register this pairing. Finally, save your co-teaching setup, and you can restore or clear configurations as needed. Alright, so now we need to talk about slot categories. This is a fundamental concept in setting up your timetable. Essentially, you're going to split the school day into different slot groups. Think of these as time blocks or periods. The beauty of this approach is that each category gets solved completely independently. Here's the workflow. First, you click the plus button to add a category. Then you need to edit the category name. Give it something meaningful like morning sessions or period 1. Next, you'll edit the duration field to specify how long each slot in that category lasts. And finally, you specify the solve order, which tells the system the priority for scheduling that category. This gives you fine-grained control over how your timetable comes together. So once the solver assigns your courses and instructors to slots based on these categories, you'll see them appear at the bottom of the Data Input and Validation tab. Now, here's what you need to do next: edit the category load split for each course. You can download an Excel template to make this easier. Each row shows the group course, instructor, weekly load, and how you're distributing that load across your categories plus a remaining column. Here's the critical part. A check mark should appear in the remaining column when your category distributions add up perfectly to the weekly load. If you see a negative or positive value instead, you need to adjust those numbers until they equal 0. Finally, make sure there's no deficit in slots for each category. Verify your allocations are realistic.